Hi, Mirror! Back once again.
Hidely ho, neighborinos. It's Wednesday, so it's time to do Wednesday things, up to and including a little bit of a show that we have for you this week, where we will be talking, of course, about the Tuxedo with its Snapdragons and its ARMs, and of course, a little bit of Firefox news and some round menus, and everybody's super excited about the Raspberry Pi initial public offering, aren't we? Yeah! We're still going to talk about it, though. Hello, Mir. Hello, Scott. Hello, Arthurian.
Oh. Arthurian love. Scoots love and Mir love.
What's that button do? I am, there. Maybe? Yeah, but right there. That's what that fader does. All right. That is a lifelong problem that I've never grown out of. Is like, what's that do? It's probably a bad idea to find out right too late.
During the show, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Let's just wiggle it and see if anything breaks. Is one of the ways I go about it. So yeah, I posted a little bit earlier in our super secret Discord about what YouTube is getting ready to roll out. I tried to warn some people about it a long time ago. I did. I wouldn't say it was much of an argument, but I was talking to Pedro and Jordan about it, and they were talking about like ad blocking, like the cat and mouse game, and I'm like, YouTube's just got to flip a switch. Like the technology, the stack to do it. Steve, quit screwing around. Get back to work.
He's playing with hats.
That is right, Mir. That is right. Yeah, YouTube's just going to bake the, like in real time, if you understand how YouTube works and how everything's like live encoded from warm storage, and especially if it's sitting there, it's trivial to slap the ads into the video stream that you're watching. It's like there's nothing you can do about it other than like look away or walk out of the room.
Yeah.
And that's a real thing. So that's that. Maybe we'll get some serious competition to YouTube one day. That'll be dope.
Yeah, yes, it would be nice.
Hey, Steve, I got some of those too. You ever accidentally get up with those things on? That's a trip.
Yeah. His magnifiers. I can see your eyes really big.
I mean, if you're of a certain
That's
age,
funny,
you remember
Steve,
the very retro way of ad blocking that we did when we were young, watching TV. You get up and go get something to eat. Get a snack,
do chores.
get a drink. Yeah, like, oh, the ads are on. All right, I'll be back in a minute when those are done. Are we going to have to go back to that? We're going to be encouraged to put down our mobile devices for a minute. We're like, okay, let's let the ads play. Yeah. I mean, it was time to get up and go do something when the ads rolled out. You're like, we don't have that anymore. Like, when was the last time you watched ads when you were watching something? Nothing. It just doesn't happen. I'm fascinated. And I've been this way probably well over a decade when I'm at somebody's house and they're just watching live TV, like network TV with adverts on it, and that comes on. I'm like, what's that? Like, it gets my attention. I'm like, novel.
Yeah.
Interesting. That's how they're trying to sell stuff these days. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but the only time I watch traditional ads on TV is when I'm watching our local newscast, and I'm like, oh yeah, we had to live that life once upon a time.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It is kind of strange that people still... that's fascinating that local news is still around in some markets. Atlanta and LA, like big cities have
we have our
local news.
CBS, ABC, NBC affiliates.
Yeah.
And but they're all I'm watching their streams, and the nice thing about the streams is that they don't run as many commercials as they do on their regular broadcast TV channel, which is nice. You get a couple instead of like 4 or 5.
Steve, I demand that you can only wear your hat with cat ears on it from now on.
Mm-hmm.
Steve's got a hat with just cat ears on it, everybody. I'll show you.
Yeah.
And it's an official company hat, too. Why? Because Steve makes toys for a living.
Yes, yes.
He's a real-life Geppetto.
Aw, hi, Lucy Llewellyn. Yeah, oh, cool. Get your cat ears.
Look at that. And they even took the time to put a little notch in the left one.
They sure did.
Yeah,
Oh,
they did.
honey. That was good thinking, Boo. So those kitties are TNR'd properly.
Oh, you made those ears. Ah.
Yeah, that's
so
why they have the notch in them.
That's why the fabric's slightly the wrong color. Okay. It still looks nice. There you go. Yeah. Oh, Steve could throw together, like, Steve could retire in probably like 3 to 5 years if he spooled up a YouTube channel. Like, I'm not even joking. I'm being facetious. Like, the amount of people interested in what Steve does is staggering, and there's very few people who record or stream stuff at that skill level. Look at that.
Yeah.
Like, we got a bunch of hobbyists and people playing around, but somebody's been doing it for a few decades. Whole different game. And we do need people like that, though.
Yeah, I had told him when he does these, it'll be a few years, he'll retire, and, that's something he could do to keep the income flowing. If he'd like, but I think he would love it.
I think he'd still like to do it. He just doesn't want to do it on, like, because the amount of work.
He doesn't have, the problem is he doesn't have time because he works 60, 70-hour weeks. So it's a little difficult.
And, like, even when you retire, like anything you do, period, you do a multiplication factor of effectively infinity when you are going to be recording it, putting it together, live streaming it, or recording it for post-production to do guides and stuff like that. It's infinitely more complex than, like, there's definitely been times where I've gotten something and I'm like, oh, cool, I get to play with that. And I'm like, kinda, I do.
But then you're like, oh, it's going to be hours of work.
Yeah, like 30 hours later, we're done playing with it. Because, it's not like just take it out of the box and start playing with it. You're like, no, I have to get everything set up to record getting this thing out of the box so we can get that initial footage there and, all the stuff I do to it. And, like, everything gets structured, and that's only for, like, stuff we do for interfacing Linux or Linux Gamecast or to that effect. I still have plenty of bits of joy that are not related to that. So I could definitely see if Steve's like, yeah, I don't want to get involved in that. I completely understand.
Yeah.
Because it's a hassle.
Yeah, it is. If anything, he'd probably, there are some live streamers that used to do what he's doing. They're not as active anymore. And that would be something to do where he could get the community together in a live stream and they can talk about their techniques instead of having to be a vlog that he has to spend hours creating.
me and Steve both watch Evil Ted.
Yeah.
He's one of the model makers. That's something me and Steve have in common.
Yeah, so true, Steve. We all have our dreams. This was one of mine. I'd always wanted to get into podcasting and even better video podcasting because of all my work with radio, and I just loved it. It's great. Now I'm doing it full time.
Oh, you know Evil Ted. Either that or you told me you did and you didn't the first time. I can find it in Discord chat if you want to give me a second. You don't know Evil Ted? It's a Twitch streamer. I showed the Twitch stream and you're like, I know that guy. Oh, he's got a YouTube channel too.
Yeah, Ven has shown him before, but yeah, Steven doesn't go to Twitch except to watch us. That's it.
That's why I showed his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I'm not going to fight you on it. It doesn't matter to me one way or the other. I just got done talking to John. I was like, I don't argue with people on the internet, homie.
Yeah.
Maybe it was other Steve.
But here, Boo, here's the the channel. I think we're actually subscribed to him.
Don't say that. That goes against his Yeah, it must have been another Steve.
Yeah.
Anyway, you should watch Evil Ted if you're unfamiliar with him. He's a really good model maker. Industry veteran. He worked on The Fifth Element and Guyver, among others, like Star Trek Into Darkness.
Yeah, in fact, I am subscribed to him.
But he also does a Twitch stream.
Yeah, that I have not watched.
And I like to catch him on occasion when I got time. And I'm like, hey, he's doing the thing. All right, I'll go check it out. All right, we got about 4 minutes for go time. So...
Okay. Time to take a break. Is the Twitch bridge still down?
Yeah, if you want to chat and you want it to show up on the screen, go to Twitch. I can read it. Doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Don't bug Jordan about it.
Yeah, I got Twitch on right now. Okay. I'll be back.
There we go. Oh. What is going on? Science. You know what? I might just replace that bridge with a commercial solution. That might be the play, because there are other options than the home ruled system of what we got going on. I'm trying to think, was there anything, what was it? Like all weekend, like what was it? Like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, there was a million game expos. Like the Xbox Direct and the PlayStation. The Xbox one wasn't too bad. All things considered. I didn't see too many things that really had me excited, but it wasn't bad in the sense that like all of the other ones that I watched, like the Indie Showcase and stuff, like just show me the trailers with the gameplay. That's all I want to see. I don't take breaks and do like bad skits between it. Nobody wants that. Xbox did surprisingly good with it. Like, here's just gameplay. Yeah. I don't know. I never get to go to E3. I don't think. No, I don't think I ever went to E3. You're going on IRC? Yeah, I think I'm just going to nuke that bot. But I didn't see anything terribly exciting. No Silksong announcement. And that's really all I'm looking for at this point, or something Silksong-like, and not seeing it, not feeling it. A lot of third-person action-adventure RPGs set in Japan. Like, if that's your gem, man, a bunch of those games coming out, but... Krita on Steam. Yeah, this is just too ridiculous. If I can't read the chat, what's the point in having the bot? Perfect Dark was interesting. But I think you brought up, was that you, Scott? All right. Chatbot should be not talkative right now. Yeah. All right. You can safely type in Twitch now without it spazzing out. I never played Perfect Dark. I didn't. The only thing I know about Perfect Dark, I think it was one of, if not the largest game for the N64. Do I have that right? Or was that one of that zombie killing game? That zombie killing game. It's just escaping my brain right now. I know the name of it. I just can't think of it. I want to call it Evil Dead, but it's not. But yeah, Perfect Dark had some strong Mirror's Edge vibe. But then again, I think it was 505 Studios, right? That's doing the Perfect Dark. I think they're the ones that did Mirror's Edge, maybe? I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Mirror's Edge was Dyson EA. All right. See? That's how you get answers. Be wrong on the internet. Instantaneous. Nailed it. Welcome back, Joe Bright.
Hello.
We were just watching the chatbot flipping the absolute table, like, doesn't know what's going on.
Oh.
It's been infected.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's having a senior moment. Bit rot. However you want to look at it.
Jordan's on it. Yay, Jordan.
Yeah, the N64 never like really hit me because by the time I got drugged to people's houses more than once to be shown GoldenEye 007.
Oh, yeah.
Like, look at this. This is amazing. And I had a 3D effects card with the GL Quake. I'm like, cool toy. Have fun with that. Mario 60. What? I don't know. Scott's bringing numbers to a conversation here. I was talking about, when I say largest, I'm talking about like actual ROM size. Sorry. Maybe I should have put a finer point in that. Yeah, I forget if it was Mirror's Edge or like Resident Evil, like the largest N64 card. I don't remember. Needed the RAM expansion. Cool. All right. Let me get a refill, and we will go ahead and hop onto it. We'll do a nice little tight show. Try not to get too far out in the weeds.
Yeah.
Let me get this. No, I need to keep that open. All right. Yeah.
Yay, chat. Oh, what? There we go. Okay, let me see what Rev Malay says. the Saturn and GBA, and both of those were 6 months or less. I've been PC only for almost all my same here. Rev Malay, yeah. I mean, I played with the very first console. One of the very first ones was Pong back in the 70s. And then I had an Atari and whatnot, but I mostly have been a computer gamer most of my life. Tomb. Oh yeah. Crystal Dynamics, Tomb Raider. Yeah. Cool. Yay, Rev Malay. A very similar generation here. Yeah, I remember. Oh my God! You know, we were the first family on the block to have the Pong console, and it was quite special. I spent hours playing it. Oh yeah, boo! Yeah, I do have a new cup to show. And speaking of Woodstock, this is one of my hippie cups. Glasses. It actually has you can see it there, little engraved mushrooms, holographic mushrooms. Well, not engraved, but stamped on there. Holographic mushrooms.
Did you go to Woodstock, Jill?
No, but I know a lot of people who did. Oh boy.
There we go.
Cool, Rev Malay. Yeah, both, actually my whole family are hams, and my grandmother was one of the original Floradoras in Florida, one of the first female hams. And my grandfather built a ham station in New Mexico. Actually, the first ham station in New Mexico. White Sands, to be exact. Your family is ham, yeah. Now, I have an AM license, I don't have a ham, although I have taken the test before and passed it, but I never kind of followed through with it. Because back when I was doing that, you had to learn Morse code, and I learned it a little bit, but my parents were experts at it. Oh yeah, I remember that one, Rev Malay. Yeah, the Algebra Dragons. Yeah, I remember that. I had it on cassette. I think me and my brother used to play that on the cassette deck for the C64.
We got that put together and had to do an emergency go. Remember to put what I was cooking onto simmer. Like, right, don't leave that on boiling.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It had wafted up, and I'm like, I should be able to smell. Right. So we got that on 3, which is always the, no matter what burner you have, 3 is always the safe spot for something. I'm like, it'll be there. All right. We should be good to go.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let's lock in and talk about some Linuxy bits. Here, are we doing?
Yeah, I do have enough expensive hobbies, don't I? Steve has been, but so does he. We both have our expensive hobbies.
All right. Click. And there we go. It is time, once again, to press the big red button.
Okay.
We pressed the big red button. If it was only and good night, everybody. No. All right. Let's rock and roll. Three. There we go. Ah.
Hmm.
Get off the thing. There. No. Why is it? Oh, now I know why. There we go. There we go. No, for realsies this time. Hey, everybody, welcome back to Linux Weekly, Daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Vin, that's Jill. Just talking in pre-show, having fun watching our chat relay bot have a nervous breakdown.
Yeah.
It wasn't feeling it. It's the bot that Strider and Empty created years and years and years ago before it was even a thing that relays our chat from Twitch chat to our super secret Discord's live chat to IRC, and it kind of exploded. It was fascinating. You had to be there. Come watch us live if you ever get a chance, and you can watch chaos like that unfold. Pretty big show to talk about. Of course, we're going to be talking about that Snapdragon-powered Elite X laptop, Firefox updates, and Raspberry Pi. This kind of went open. Public offering, which is a weird type of open, but it's still open. Open's in there. It says it right there. Initial public. All right, let's go ahead.
Yes.
And hop into it. You might notice after 4 weeks, if you look back, a familiar green block is lit up again, which is my 828 MK3, which I ordered in an entire set. I took the time to take apart the power supply, get all the capacitor values, write everything out. I ordered everything. They showed up, popped the lid on it, and I was like, wait a minute. And there was this cheater cap on it that was puffy. I'm like, how did I miss that? Why didn't I see that?
Yeah.
That's it. I guarantee you that's the only problem with it. 100%. That one little guy held on by 4. It wasn't even on the board. It was like just tacked on. 4 weeks later, this cap shows up. 10 minutes later, it's back up and running. No, I didn't even bother to check it. I just put it back together, screwed it together, and I'm like, guarantee you every single other one of those caps is just fine on the power supply. Plugged it in there, and now it works. Anyway, I have an entire recap kit just in case now.
Very good, Ben.
Good times. Learn to solder, kids. It'll save you a lot of money. Those things are not cheap, and it's good to have that back up and running. When it died, I talked about it on the show. It's like they're known to die. Power supplies are known to go out on these things. So when it started been funky, I'm like, there it goes. And I just put it back in the rack, pull out another one. So good to have that. Another thing I got in though. Another thing I picked up. A regular, ordinary, completely normal, run-of-the-mill, everyday sound card. Yep. It looks just like a sound blaster, doesn't it, Joe? Maybe.
ASI 5211.
Audio science. And no, that's not a headphone jack, everybody.
Yeah.
That's not a headphone jack. That is a balanced mic input because it's got a preamp built into it, along with a digitally in and out, analog edit out. It's got, you see the DSP with the Texas Instruments. You're like, oh yeah, no, it's got equalizer, companders, all this stuff built into it. As over on the forums on Interfacing Linux, I think Aaron chimed in with the very classic, didn't expect to see a heatsink on an audio card. So if you want to go see what this thing looks like,
nice.
Give it a look. Audio Science is the name if you're into ham operating radio. Currently they're used by basically one piece of radio automation software known as Riffendale. It doesn't have elves in it.
Okay.
So I am actually familiar with the radio, and I've been in front of the mic and behind the mic, kids. So what I want to know about this is how easy, or is it even possible to get because these cards came out in like 2010. Audio Science still makes new stuff, and I want to see, hey, these are starting to show up on the market at a reasonable-ish price. Can we make use of them? So that's probably going to be in an upcoming Interfacing Linux. I'll just say that I have a test bench, and I'm getting serious about it. Why? Because that test bench is back in the studio floor across the room. And I'm like, yeah, let's see what we can get up to. What do you think about our summer of full speed, Jill?
Oh, yeah. It's a lot of fun. I love the maps you chose, Ben. because you really do have to be full speed on those maps, and you got to kind of go through each segment and memorize the puzzle, to each turn and to each goal you have to get through. It's the ultimate puzzle 3D platformer. Trackmania Stadium 2.
It's pretty wild. Now, what Jill's talking about, we're filthy casuals. We've been doing this for a while, and to celebrate the summer of 2024, a super hot summer, we're going back in time, and we started 2008. This week we're in 2013, going back through classic tracks of just chaos. It's a racing game, but it's also a puzzle platformer. If you want to look into it, we have our own private server. If you're a Twitch sub or if you're a patron, link that up to our Discord. Get the launch codes. This thing runs on everything. And if you're getting up in age like me and Jill, it's important to work on that hand-eye coordination. And this does that. And we got a great supportive community. If you want to get on the audio call with us, we do it. And we stream it live on Tuesdays. And we play chess on Fridays. It's definitely not a racing game on Fridays. It is a thinking person's game on Fridays because it's all about collecting points, which means you just need more points to win than everybody else. And you do that by finishing the map. And you got yahoos like me, Turbo, and Ogie, and Alan. We're just trying to sling around the track. I'm like, we can't help ourselves. So, and Gamatron's got a great strategy of like, I'm just going to get through this.
Yeah.
And start stacking points up while we're flying off the track trying to race each other. So it's an interesting dynamic. And on Tuesdays, we put in new tracks. We're going to be doing all full speed all summer long. Come and join us. Love to see you there. Of course, it's a Linux server running on Linux, and the game runs fine under Proton, and it runs on a calculator. Like, it'll run on Intel integrated graphics. No problem, because it's ancient. And it's usually cheap. It's like $9 full price, but it's always on sale. Go check it out. We'd love to hang out with you. But, Jill, our dream...
Some big news.
might finally come true.
Yes.
Maybe. Possibly. Tuxedo is growing some arms.
Yes, it is.
I'm really excited about this. Jill is too. Tuxedo laptop with the Snapdragon X Elite SoC has been spotted in the wild at Computex. And, you saw a couple of outlets covering, that's, for me at least, very exciting news because Tuxedo has done the thing that we were waiting on. We're like, we're like, can we just get a laptop and maybe put some Linux on it? They're going to try to cut out some of those extra steps because a German PC manufacturer, Schenecker, they're going to release one of these, and Tuxedo is going to be working with them to release, hey, this thing's got Linux, everything's going to work on it, just buy it from us type deal, something like, System 76 with their laptops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much a prototype right now. And by prototype, all the pictures that you may have seen of this, outside of like one, I think, it's not powered up. It's not really doing anything. And that's because at Computex, it was stuck in a boot loop. So very much prototype. And this is prototype 1. Tuxedo's like, we're already moved on to prototype number 2, which is good. Why does this get fascinating, though? If you don't know about the Snapdragon X Elite, it's a 12-core SoC, 32 gigs of RAM. It's what's going to be in the new Microsoft LED Surface Data Hoovering Device 9000s with all of its fancy stuff. It's here to trade blows. Even on Windows, DaVinci Resolve, the software I use to edit this show, they've released a version of ARM for this application for ARM Windows. Like, times might be changing. Yeah, 32 gigs. And this is going to be their top of the line one here. 2560, 1600 display, M.2 upgradable storage, and USB 4.0 holes to be found on it.
Mm-hmm.
No pricing and information. These laptops are these are going to be high-end laptops, or just across the board, Linux or no Linux. You're going to be looking at like low-end $999, probably like $1,200-$1,400 for that, which unfortunately, if you're old like me, you're like, that's a lot of money for a laptop, but that's kind of the going price for a reasonable laptop these days, unless your idea of a reasonable laptop's like those $300 S boxes that you get at Walmart. And you're like, hey, it didn't explode and catch on fire. Winning. Looking forward to this, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. As Ben can see, I actually wrote a lot in the show notes because I was So excited about this. So actually, a little story. So last Wednesday after LWW, when I was reading more online posts covering Computex 2024, I found the pictures of the prototype Tuxedo Linux Snapdragon X Elite laptop being shown off at the German PC OEM Schenker Tuxedo booth. And I was just very excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's here sooner than we thought. And so what is cool, so 4 weeks ago on LWW 423, we had talked about Linux kernel 6.9 being released, and then it had better support for ARM processors, including ARM64 Rust code support. And, one of the reasons for this is that Linus Torvalds now has a much more powerful ARM64 machine to compile the Linux kernel on. And also in that same episode of LWW, we talked about Qualcomm upping their support of the latest Snapdragon X Elite processor on Linux, and that Linux's new ARM64 computer has, a lot to do with Qualcomm upping that support. For sure. And now we have the awesome news about the Tuxedo Computers Linux Snapdragon X Elite laptop possibly coming out by the end of the year. This is because full support by Qualcomm of the Snapdragon X Elite SoC is expected in the next months in the Linux kernel 6.11. And so that's supposed to be when we get full support, and 6.10 is supposed to have lots of improvements as well. But so this laptop is being developed under the code name Draco, which, according to Wikipedia, is the Greco-Latin word for serpent or dragon. So that made sense, especially since the processor name is Snapdragon X Elite. I thought that was kind of funny. I'm like, Draco, what a strange name. That makes sense. And what's awesome is Tuxedo Computers' Tuxedo OS, which is Tuxedo's own Ubuntu-based KDE Plasma distro, will be featured on this beautiful laptop. And like Ven, I'm looking forward to seeing the specs on performance versus battery life in the future, as, the Snapdragon X Elite system on chip can actually outperform Apple's M2 SoCs and be more energy efficient. So lots of excitement. We finally got our ARM processors coming, and they'll be better than some of Apple's. Yay!
This is who Intel's worried about. Intel's not worried about AMD right now. Intel's looking at this. Why is Intel not worried about AMD? AMD's never been a threat on laptop. Why? AMD can't turn out the chips quick enough. They don't have their own fabs. They can't put out the quantity. When Dell and HP, they come knocking. They need millions. AMD just can't deliver those numbers. Qualcomm can. Yeah. They have experience, and Intel's like, this could be a problem. And that's absolutely a good thing. I forget if it was Gamers Nexus, one of the tech tubers who were in Taipei. Mm-hmm. They were talking to Qualcomm a little behind the scenes, and they said, how many PCI Express lanes does this thing have? And they're like, any of them not used? And they're like, yeah, we got 8 that are unused. And they're like, what for? And they're like, yeah, we can't say. Yeah, they're just there. Which I touched on this on Saturday on Linux Gamecast. I was like, all right, I think it's PCI Express 4.0. That's 8 lanes. Having a desktop board is not outside of the realm of possibility here.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden you get a buy 8 PCI Express slot. You're good to go. We drop GPU. What about AMD stuff's going to run? What about it? NVIDIA's already got ARM drivers. Had them for a long time. Probably just never thought about it because, you don't have a board that's ARM that takes a video card. So, yes, get excited about this.
Yeah, this is very exciting.
Very interesting times for us. And Linux has a big head start on Windows when it comes to ARM. Be it with the Raspberry Pi and everything else that we've had access for. A lot of this stuff is, we know the right direction to go in. We've just not had, really the most powerful thing we've been able to get our hands on is some of this rock chip stuff. It just blows it out of the water. This is a different game.
Yeah. high performance machines. And Rev Malay asked in chat, can it play games? Oh yes, because there's already a lot of ARM support with games with emulation, and some of those even work on the Raspberry Pi. Like you can
The
play
game
Half-Life.
emulation is going to be one thing. One thing we talked about on Linux Gamecast is a project called FEX, which
that's right.
is something that is able to run Steam on ARM and play games. But the problem is like nobody's really had like a big chunky ARM to throw at it.
Yeah,
that's going to change.
We will. Yeah.
Fun times. I agree with you, Arthur, and I want one to play with. Maybe not. This is going to be their top of the line. They're going to be lower powered versions of this, so we'll wait around and see. This immediately changes, Sauron Zai from like I'm waiting for an M1 to show up. Like when those get to like $200-300, I'll pick one up. Like I'll pick one of these up instead. So good times for everybody. Now let's go ahead and talk about Mozilla Firefox 127 has learned some new tricks.
It sure has been. So Mozilla Firefox 127 has been released, and it includes some really cool new features for our favorite open source web browser. One of the cool new features is in the list, all tabs, tab bar widget. There is a new close duplicate tabs option, which enables you to close all your duplicate tabs in one click, which is really, really convenient.
That's treating the symptom, not the problem. Quit using your tabs as a bookmark.
Yeah. So I'm guilty of this. I am, appreciative of this feature because when doing research for LWDW show notes, I seem to always have at least two or four duplicate tabs of news stories that I am currently reading open. And a lot of that is I just double click them on accident or click them on from various links. And that'll be nice to clean up the tabs. And Firefox 127 also improves the web page screenshot tool, which includes the ability to take screenshots of certain file types like XML and SVG, and lets you take screenshots of some internal about pages. And the built-in Firefox web page screenshot tool also includes new keyboard shortcuts and high contrast mode support for greater accessibility. That is awesome. that is really awesome. My only other recommendation here is maybe when you move the mouse down to the when you were using the screenshot tool and you move the mouse over it, that it becomes a little bigger so those with visual impairment can see it better. But this is really great for accessibility. And another great feature, including in this release, is something that I'm going to have Mozilla state. They say, we completed work to optimize and enable DNS prefetching for HTTPS documents via the rel equal DNS prefetch link hint. This standard allows web developers to specify domain names for important assets that should be resolved preemptively. This is really great to speed up the internet. And specific for us Linux users, Firefox 127 makes the 32-bit Linux user string report 64-bit for greater website compatibility. So there's actually been a lot of major changes in this release, and it just kind of snuck out there yesterday. And I was reading it.
This is what we want to see. This is all we want to see. I think when we think about Mozilla, you think about Firefox. What has Mozilla not been focusing on in the past?
Yeah, the years? Web browser experience, right. And now we're getting that.
Like, let's just get back to doing this.
Yeah,
stick with what brought you. So this is good to see. Good updates and good times all around. If you haven't played with Firefox in a long time, if you're like me, I try to use Firefox, but I use a mix of everything. I use Chromium based. Like I'm not attached to a particular browser, and Firefox is perfectly serviceable. And unless you're on Android.
I've gotten used to Firefox and Android.
I don't get used to slow and clunky. Sorry. I don't. It's 2024. I'll put up with that. Yeah. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on is to something that I want to bring back up, mainly because they got a 1.0 release. And I definitely think a lot of you have probably had this thought. If you ever think about user interface, user design, how you interact with your desktop. Maybe you were like me. I remember like being a teenager, like back in the 90s, going, how come we don't have like circle menu? Something that like explodes and you do that. I was like, that would be kind of fun. And like if you've been looking like maybe for a cross-platform pie menu like that for your desktop, there's been options in the past. Like people have taken stabs at this idea. But we've never really seen it work out, because you click on an area, you get a little mini circle, then you get a little line, maybe another mini circle, and you're like, well, it's kind of like a little mini menu dungeon crawl when you think about it. And
it is.
Yeah,
yes.
it is an adventure game, which, even back in the night, is like, I get even given that a think, and I'm like, well, that doesn't make, it would be cool, but it doesn't make a lot of sense because you're thinking about using your mouse and you're like, click, 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 click. Then you look at something like, CDE menu or the start menu introduced in Windows 95, click, click, click. I'm like, right. It's not as fun, but it's a lot more efficient. However, if we fast forward to 2024, everything's got touch screens now. They do. Even your cheap laptops have touch screens on them. Don't touch my monitors, by the way. I hate when people do that. Like, I'll slap your hand.
Yeah.
Having an interface like this that works not only on Linux, but on Windows, maybe one day on Android, makes a lot of sense all of a sudden when you put it through that lens of a touchscreen. Because how many times have you ever been on a touchscreen without a mouse? Like if you get Linux up and working on Android and you're like sitting there like, you're trying to do some basic stuff. That can change with this. This is Kando if you haven't heard about it. I wanted to give it another mention because they just hit 1.0. Look at that circle exploding. You know what? I think they get a video. Let's watch exploding circles. You click on a thing, drag it around. Hey, it does more stuff. I'm down with that. And you can run this on Windows too. Or Mac OS.
Yeah, and Mac OS too.
So that kind of gets to the point of like having a universal menuing system, something that you could reliably use. Because even between like Android and iOS, man, completely different animals. And we definitely need something that is universal on Linux. If we ever want that fabled Linux tablet, we need something that works with touch. We don't need KDE's attempt at it or GNOME's attempt at it. Why? Because they're rubbish. We need something that's just going to look at this using it. Hey, look at that. You can pull up the tools. Done. How useful did that just become for anybody? Look how big you can make the sun. You're practically melting whatever that was.
Yes. Fun with the GIMP.
It is incredibly neat. And, this works with, like I said, Windows, Mac OS, all your desktop, XFCE, KDE, GNOME, i3. It works with Wayland. Not only does it work with a mouse, it'll also work with a stylus. And of course, like I've said, touch. You can draw a Laura Ipsum that dragon all you want, man.
Ben, doesn't this remind you of kind of the 2D version of the 3D menu system that Sun had developed?
Dude, I'm just watching this serial killer plague Factorio of this thing.
Yes.
Oh, what was that, Jill? I'm sorry, I got distracted by that.
You got distracted. You remember the 3D menuing system that Sun had developed? Well, this is kind of the 2D version of that, but it should take off because we have touch interfaces now.
Well, it makes sense in the world of touch.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember when I first saw what was it? Canonical did Unity. Then we had like that first version. I was like, oh, I bet that works fine on touch. Then I got to play with it on touch. I'm like, nah, that's still dumb.
Yeah.
So and what I really want to drive home is having a cross-platform menuing system, something. And you're like, well, I like things to be different, complex. The average person doesn't. You want to talk about getting somebody from one operating system to the next operating system? That's how you do it. You're like, hey, are you familiar with this here? It works like this over here, as opposed to this is how it works on this desktop. This is how it works on this desktop. This is how it works on Windows. This is how it works on Mac. There's merit to this.
Yeah, there definitely is. And, I actually enjoyed using the Condo Pie menu to create, quick links to websites I visit often for doing my LWDW show notes. I set up all my favorite news sites. And I also used it for a quick way to mute, play, and pause my audio when playing music and YouTube videos. And I was happy you could change the default keyboard shortcut keys to launch the Kando Pie menu from control space to whatever you wanted in the settings menu. And I just used my keyboard's insert key as my shortcut to launch the Kando Pie menu because I very rarely use it. So it's very thoughtfully laid out, and there's lots of things that you can change in the settings menu, and then with creating new menus, it's very well done. It's extremely thought out and easy to use.
Most certainly. And, even when you're thinking about maybe putting it through the lens of like a home theater PC with your Steam controller or something like that, radial menus. That makes sense, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
That
Pretty
works.
fun.
Yeah.
Good to see it. Like with everything else, there'll be a link in the show notes once we get the podcast up and posted. But last but not least, the natives are a little bit upset, but it's probably a good thing at the end of the day, Jill.
Yes. So several weeks ago, we mentioned that the Raspberry Pi went public with an IPO. Well, since that announcement, the Raspberry Pi company's shares went up by 32% after its IPO pricing. This is wonderful news for the Raspberry Pi company. So they put it on the London Stock Exchange yesterday morning, and the Raspberry Pi priced its IPO at $2.80 EU per share. That made it value at 542 million EU, or 690 million US dollars at today's exchange rate.
I do want to throw in not EU, pounds.
Oh, pounds. What? I'm sorry. No wonder the E wasn't there. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, that's the pound menu. Oh my gosh. Okay. Often on the show we're reading the EU, so this isn't pounds, of course, because it's the Raspberry Pi company based in England. Okay. So anyways, that made the Raspberry Pi company valued at 542 million pounds, or 690 million US dollars. So I just repeated that to correct myself. And right after that, Raspberry Pi Limited shares jumped 32% to $3.70 pounds, and raised up more than 200 million during this process. That's awesome. So on Friday, retail investors will be able to buy and sell shares of Raspberry Pi IPO. So that's really cool. And honestly, we've talked about it here on the show before. Eben Upton, the Raspberry Pi founder, has assured us that a lot of the money from the IPO will go to the Raspberry Pi Foundation. And I feel that's in his heart, that he's actually going to be contributing that money forward to education and the hobbyists. So that's just, I think it's actually really good news.
So let's go ahead and dive back into reality, as I like to call it, because 7.4 million SBCs, they were sold Raspberry Pis last year. 7.4 million. How many of those went to hobbyists?
Not as many as before the pandemic.
Hardly any. 72% went to industrial embedded customers. Now, Evan's going to tell you, it's a necessary evil. Like, if you like money, I feel you, man. So the company, Raspberry Pi itself, I did a little research, a little bit digging around, had a profit last year of about 40 million. That's not too bad. Now, ARM has continued, ARM. ARM's the reason that we have, Broadcom, and that's how they got the SoCs. ARM said, we're going to get 35 million a stock IPO, which is good. Do you know who else is buying into this? A name you might know, but you're like, wait, what? Sony Embedded Systems is going to be buying into that too. Well, at the end of the day, this IPO is going to raise probably not a crazy amount of money, but at least like $200 million. And we're going to see they're going to have to restructure the Raspberry Pi Foundation and organization, how all that's laid out because of reasons. When you do something like this, okay, we'll see. You know, is what's Raspberry Pi got going for it? Well, a lot if you're an industrial customer. As to say, the past couple of years, as the hobbyist, as people trying to get this stuff, we're not feeling it right now. And I think a lot of people are still not feeling it after the Raspberry Pi 5. We'll see. We'll see. You want to get...
think positive.
You can think positive all you want. I deal with reality. This is just another thing. This could work out for the good. It would be, one of the rare things where something went public and it didn't turn into an evil corporate monster.
Yeah.
Hopefully that'll happen.
Yeah, there are several examples of that, but not always.
Which ones come to mind, Jill?
Right now, nothing. Because I don't know. Not a lot, but
yeah, I can say yeah, sure they are examples. I don't have any, so that means I had none. Solus Corporation, going to Solus Corporation, profit before product. Raspberry Pi is kind of one of those interesting things because a lot of us have been around since day one, when it was just a scrappy little thing I was reading about on Slashdot, and we've seen it grow. And we see where it's at now. Do we want more? Do we want better? Yeah, we do. Everybody wants it to succeed. Do I want you to go up and get the pitchforks? No. Is this necessarily a bad thing short term? Probably not.
No.
Long term? Who knows? Who knows? Raspberry Pi's already got competition. Competition's good. It's going to be interesting to see how this ends up shaking out. We end up things like, the AI hat. We didn't talk about the AI hat because no one cares.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're inundated with AI all the time. So.
We'll see. We'll see which way it goes. Maybe Risk 5 will just come and save us all.
Yeah.
From, whatever. It's kind of hard. That's interesting, but it's probably nothing I'm going to get terribly upset about. And, it's stock. It's on the London Stock Exchange. It happened. I'm going to say good on Epton. It's, I have nothing but respect for somebody who's going to start from something like that and you're all the way up to a public offering. Good on you. But I also have to come at it from that hobbyist perspective. I can be representative of a lot of people who just haven't been able to buy one for the past couple of years. We went through that period, $180, $200 Raspberry Pis. Still feeling that. I'm still feeling that. And that's just the reality of it.
Yeah. Now they are available. I mean, my last trip to the Micro Center, I saw the Raspberry Pi 5 there. I was very happy.
And that's another thing, the Raspberry Pi 5 during that development cycle, and I brought that up, between the Raspberry Pi 4, the Raspberry Pi 5 is kind of a middling SBC. It's not that great, speed-wise, spec-wise. What does the Raspberry Pi win on? Ecosystem, software. That's your advantages.
It's all about the community, yeah.
It's not all about community. It's all about the industrial customers, Jill. Didn't you just see my 72%? And that's one of the things that you got to
be. It makes sense that a cheap little computer would, get adopted.
Oh, we'll see. There's always going to be other options, and there's no reason to get wound up about it. It happened. Thought we'd give you the news, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to do it for this weekly Daily Wednesdays. Thanks for joining in, having some fun with us. Come in, check it up live every Wednesday, 3 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/Linux Gamecast. If you want to get into our super secret Discord where we're at the other 6 days of the week, you can join us by becoming a patron or use one of your Bezos Bucks Twitch subs and just link that up. Come hop in. We're chatting about all types of Linuxy things and car batteries, like we were earlier this morning. And of course, we do the Trackmania. Jordan's going to be streaming tomorrow, and I'll be back Friday. Trackmania, Linux Gamecast on Saturday. Lots of stuff to play with, lots upcoming. Keep an eye out on Interfacing Linux. If you get any questions about audio, video, multimedia production under Linux, I'm there to, that's where you can ask me. Go to the forums, ask the question. I'll give you a good answer, a real answer. And we'll take care of you, making it happen. And yeah, that's it. Patreon.com/Linux Gamecast. Best way to support the show. We appreciate it. Leave your comments, thoughts, and allegations under the video. And there's that.
Yeah.
Can we do some music now?
Yes.
All right.
Go ahead then.
How about some credits?
Happy bouncy music. We got lots of wonderful patrons to appreciate, including our advisors, one in chat, Artherin, our executive producers, our Chicago Kicks people, including Empty and Blasphemia, our Sea Monsters, Dirty Dean, Dick Kresny, Frostclaw, our Death Notes, Turnover, Ogiwan, and Foxdog, Swine, Piper, Oil of Hope, Jalad. Ooh, I got that one better. And our chairlings. Oh my gosh. The credits go by too quickly for me to name all the lovely people.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. It's been a blast. We'll see you again next week.
Love you all.
Bye-bye.
Oh, and thank you, Love Me. Oh, yeah. We got a thing from him.
A thing?
What do you call it? The cheer.
We got a cheer? Thank you for the cheer.
Yeah. Well, I couldn't see it on the screen, so just the first part of the name.
Yeah, Chicago is that is our, if you know the reference, you know the reference. Why it's I've only had to explain that to a few people. Some people go over to Patreon and they see that and they're like, I like that movie too. Then we're all of a sudden best friends. Let me get that pulled up. Yeah, speaking of the Winamp, I didn't really see a spot to drop it into the show.
Oh yeah. I saw your post on it.
Yeah, that's another thing you can do if you're a patron. You can get into our Discord and look at our early show notes and like drop in suggestions. So there's like a whole channel of like nothing but like just link drops. That's all we do. Arthurian's in there about as much as I am these days. This is a full size Winamp with touchscreen on it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it cute?
That makes it look a lot bigger than it is. It's not really that big. So yeah, you can just get all type of nostalgia out of your system with one of these. Play some oh look, at least they're playing a new Daft Punk album. I like that album. Touchscreen's working pretty good. All right. Works with Bluetooth. It's got CD. It's got a CD player in it. How vintage.
Yeah.
Spotify profile. That's pretty slick. Here, I'll put a link in to chat if you want to go inspect it yourself because oh man, you can build a stack with the power tower of power.
Power. Oh, hi, Happy Cube 76. I thought I saw you in there. You're in the show. I saw your chat come up.
Yeah, there's the omnipresent Techmon. Yeah, that's wild, man. If you want to rock and roll with that stuff. There we go. Yeah, dedicated music players are just like, I don't even think I don't even have a music collection anymore. My music collection is like all the licensed stuff that you're listening to right now. It's either like free YouTube audio that you can get from the YouTube music library, or it's the game music that I've bought licenses to over the years. Oh, I don't have like a personal MP3 collection anymore. I haven't had one for a long time. Do you have one at home? Maybe. Do you keep one on your mobile device?
I have a lot of music on Bandcamp that I've bought, and Amazon Music. Yeah, so I do.
But do you have like an MP3 collection though, like downloaded and saved to a device?
Flax these days. I use Flax. So I have a list of Flax. But Steve and I still buy CDs, so. We still consume music on a CD because we listen
want that
to
vintage 16-bit 44.1. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I buy music now just to like support an artist I like. That's it. Or like the last thing I bought was I bought some records. I don't have a record player. I bought some records. Why? Because I wanted to give the project some money. I don't plan on listening to it. You know. My CD's going. I mean, you can scratch a CD with a needle. It's just it's one of those things that falls in the category of like, pay attention because I can only do this once. Yeah, you would think. Well, if I guess if flash storage hadn't have caught on, because I think who is it? Sony that made the Super Audio CDs. There's been attempts to like make higher fidelity because like CD audio is like podcast quality audio. It's 16-bit, 44.1 PCM. Very limited dynamic range with 16-bit. That's why you had a lot of problems with like early CDs, like bad mastering. People were just smashing it, man, because it was running into the 16-bit of resolution. Fortunately, with our audios that Joel's talking about, Flex, pretty much everything's 24-bit that you're going to download these days with 24-bit resolution, which is good because I guarantee you it was recorded at least with 24-bit resolution. Anything that you're going to get that's like 16 bits been downsampled, dithered. Because like you couldn't find a 16-bit converter on the market to record with these days. Like if you tried, man, you get on eBay and looking for some old stuff. Yeah, CDs do have error correction in the tables of contents. They can survive. Dude, you think about it. How many scratched up CDs? When I think about like scratched up CDs, I think about this is a blast from the past. It used to be a thing to have like a CD folio in your car. You would have a collection of music in your car, not on MP3, not on Bluetooth, not synced up. It was a folio that zipped up and it had a bunch of discs that was always horribly unorganized, which usually meant the disc would end up at the floorboard in the passenger seat. And those were scratched. They'd still play. They'd still play. I was like, rub it a little bit, pop it in. Like, all right, it still works.
Yeah, I personally never, I'm so careful with my stuff. I never had scratches on my discs, but I'd buy used ones sometimes that did, and I would buff it out. That was a thing. Steve and I have had a CD jukebox in our car for years, so it's never been a problem. We just keep them in the trunk in the car and bring them up when we want them. And but when I worked at radio stations, now that was a whole nother story. When the DJs there would leave them out and they get all scratched up and they'd fall on the floor and still play. It was a thing.
Yeah, very rarely did I ever have to deal with CDs. CDs that usually get let in if it was like some promo or a small indie band would send you a master or something like that. I'd be rolling them off carts. You need to copy CDs to revive the what? What? Are you just trying to preserve the content? Yeah, like me and Joe were talking about that. Like CDs, like if you got a CD that's been pressed effectively, like metal, like that you bought, you're fine. But like anything that you burned, man, that's on a a layer of dye, being suspended in some that stuff is not archival. Not even a little bit. Like those are talking about bit rot. Yeah, I don't have anything important saved on a disk. I don't even have tape backup. I got tape drives too. Like new tape drives are ridiculously expensive, man. I was thinking about that maybe a year or two ago. I was like, what would a tape drive cost these days? And I was like, more than I'm willing to pay. Way more than I'm willing to pay. Unless you want to like hack up some old solution. I'm like, no, I don't want to deal with that.
I've got one in one of my bays and one of my older computers just for transferring to digital. But Steve and I still have our big old tape decks. They're still going strong.
Are you talking about like cassette tape?
Yeah.
I was talking about like backup tape.
Oh, okay. Yeah, backup tape. The slow standard backup.
It works. So, you can pull tapes, 40-year-old tapes. They'll work. I mean, unless they've been kept like under, like in somebody's trunk in the middle of a desert. Well, then again, they probably still work a little bit. Something to mess up the, yeah. I don't know anything more archival than tape that like I would trust long term. But I don't have anything that needs to be like kept forever. I don't really have the correct words for that. I don't have anything that I couldn't reproduce with a reasonable amount of effort. I consider most of my backups like niceties, right?
Yeah.
Just to make life a little bit easier.
Oh yeah. That's very true, Arthurian. Yeah, you got to keep them in a dry, non-humid location, which
you got to watch out for them, man. They love swimming. You got to buy the little tape floaties for them because they'll drown. They don't know how to swim either. They'll fall right to the bottom of the pool. Huh. All right, that's pretty cool. What else we got going on? Anything? Are we all going to run out? I know a lot of you, not a lot of you, but I've had 4 people have told me that they bought Elite decks since last week.
Yeah. Yeah, we've gotten quite a few messages on our last week's LWW on YouTube about it. And I've had people contacting me on X and some of the socials.
Have fun with them. See if you can find something to do with them. Now that I got mine up and working, I've rehomed it as a Jitsi server. I don't know what to do with a Raspberry Pi. I was talking about that in the pre-show. Now I got a Raspberry Pi 4 to do something with. Maybe there's some project I'll find. Like, now that, what we were talking about, like big ARM, like cool ARM CPUs are going to be on the market in the foreseeable future. I'm not terribly interested in like little ARM anymore. Like, Jordan and I often talk about we wanted to see what Apple would do with like the M series SoCs that needed extensive cooling. Like just ramp it up, go crazy, build a crazy one. Let's see what it can do. And Apple's probably never going to do that. Qualcomm might. We'll see. It'll be interesting. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go turn all this into a
podcast, video.
Yeah, I would say that take too long to explain. So no, I'm not going to say that. Yes, an MP3 podcast.
So true. Steve Husband has given Ben the. Ben, there's this show that covers all the different projects you can do with your Raspberry Pi. That's funny.
My life would be so much better if I was easily amused. Unfortunately, that's not the case. All right, everybody. Tune in tomorrow. Jordan's going to be back doing something. I don't know what he's going to be doing. But he's going to be doing the snot out of it. And I'll be back Friday for Trackmania. 7:30 p.m., a little bit later, if you're across the pond.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe just crawled off a night bus and you want to get up to something. We'll see you then. And Saturday, Linux Gamecast, where we talk about, what are we talking about? Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about somebody's tried to put Windows on the deck recently. We're going to share that experience with you. Couple of new games because we got the Steam Next Fest going on right now. So the great time to get on Steam, play some free demos. Check it out. Demos are back. Makes me super happy. And some Exile 2 news. Again, we're going to talk a bit more about the Tuxedo Snapdragon SoC and one from Arthurian in chat, the mirror.space. I'm not going to tell you what that is, so tune in and find out. All right, everybody. See you next week. Bye-bye.